Hello, hello. We are slowly getting hooked up, waiting for people to join. Copy the address. Zoom. Post. All right. Hi, Paul.
Hi, April.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I switched screens. I'm like, oh, I know that face. All right, Emma's in here too, getting everything. Usually give it a couple minutes for people to pop in, because everybody always RSVPs, but there's no telling. So we don't wait too long because we record the thing. So if they miss something, they miss something. All right, let's get. I am going to get my screen set up to share, and then we will be going. No. Okay. Present. All right. Options. Hi, Mo. Share screen. Desktop 2. I swear, I get a little more technologically savvy every time I do this. I'm figuring stuff out, guys. All right. People are probably going to keep popping in while we get started. That is a-okay. Whatever they miss, they'll just have to come back in. Watch the replay, because we are on time people around here, dang it. So today we're going to talk about nutrition. Actually, I shouldn't have even opened up that there thing yet. Let me real quick. Can you see that work? Oh, sorry. More. Okay, people are joining and it's distracting me. All right, so let me get. Why can't I see? All right. Zoom. Can everyone see the paddle training members screen? I hope so. I think so. Yes. Hold on. Yeah, just desktop too. That's simple. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about nutrition. I want to see. All I can see is me in this active speaker view. I just want to see all the people. Yeah. So I know that you guys are still there. Okay. It gives me motivation. Okay. Yeah, everyone had disappeared. I'm like, wait, where did everybody go? Because I don't like it when I feel like I'm talking to myself.
But you don't want to see me eat a breakfast sandwich, so it's better this way.
You could totally, yeah. I'm glad you're eating for the nutrition talk. That's fitting. So yeah, today we are talking about nutrition, but we're not going to go into depth today about micronutrients, nutrient timing, supplementation. Each one of those topics is actually going to get its entire own Zoom meeting throughout the season. So every month when we do our monthly Zoom meetings here in the paddle training members group, we are going to break it down just like we did last year. So last year we went through training periodization and we talked about what everyone should be ideally doing when it comes to periodizing their annual training to optimize their paddle performance. So you don't just train one way all the time and expect results. You don't just like go hard 24/7. You don't build your base 24/7. And you do have these transitional periods where like you build into certain things or you recover from certain things, right? Nutrition is absolutely no different for an athlete. So we're going to be structuring down here this eating to perform section as we go through leave the 2023 season and move into the 2024 season. We're going to be structuring this the same way, where today we're mainly just talking about the tools that you should maybe start to become accustomed to using now, kind of in your off season, when you're not focused on a lot of other things. Because some of these tools might be new for you, and adjusting to using new things, whether it's daily, even intermittently throughout the week, is going to take some getting used to. It's not going to, boom, be a part of your daily life. We want to allow your brain and your lifestyle time to incorporate these new tools and decide which ones are serving you and which ones maybe you're like, nah, I don't like that one. I don't like the way that works, or that is not realistic for my life. So this is more or less, as we talk about these tools, this is something you should either be doing in your off season or in your anatomical adaptation phase. So as you're easing back into training or you're coming off of training, personally, I think that when you take your off season, so after you finish your big main event of the 2023 year of the 2023 season, when you do off season, yes, there should be not a lot on your plate. And if you really wanted to hunker down and focus heavily on nutrition in that time, you could, like take that, super focused brain and mindset and mentality that you had for your training. You could put that on nutrition. But personally, I'm a huge advocate for a full break, a full mental and physical break, so that you're chomping at the bit, so to speak, when it does come time to start using these tools or start tracking calories a little bit more. And when I say track calories, we're going to talk about that in depth, because it can be fun. It does not have to be scary. It can be a game. We like games. If we're not having fun, we probably shouldn't do what we're doing. So, but yeah, I advocate a full-blown off season. Christmas cookies, and don't look at the scale, and let the body recover completely. Even if you put on a few pounds, like that's what the human body is made to do. We're made to store sometimes, and who knows, like what little things in the deep interstitial spaces of your body need just a little boost or a little recovery. And if you're pushing it hard pretty much year round, then just eating a little bit of excess calories, Thanksgiving stuffing and turkey and Christmas cookies and feasts, is going to repair anything that needs repairing. And again, that mental break, I can't overstate the importance of that mental break there. So today we are going to be talking about the tools as you leave your dedicated off season, where you're not counting anything. You're not like, oh, gee, that's a bad food, I shouldn't eat that cookie. Yes, you should. Just enjoy the mental break, enjoy the physical break, enjoy seeing every meal as something that revitalizes you and you're taking into your body to nourish you. When you make Christmas cookies or whatever, maybe make them with coconut oil and oat flour. Like, you can make a healthy cookie too if you really want to. I do. And then I eat more. So it's great. But yeah, just seeing that food as revitalizing and nourishing is huge to your off season. As you start to think about training again, and you're chomping at the bit because now you're in a huge caloric excess because you've eaten all the food. Now you're ready. And you're like, okay, I'm going to start dialing in my training and start dialing in my nutrition. that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you do need a refresher on the anatomical adaptation phase of training and what you should be doing going into that phase, you can always come over into the Get Training tab of the Paddle Training Members area and click on that and re-watch the anatomical adaptation phase. So, but today, without further ado, we are talking about this fun stuff here. The tools you will be using during your anatomical adaptation phase to start making nutrition a potent part of your athlete arsenal. God, I love alliteration, guys. Did you know that? Okay, so the phases of your nutrition in your anatomical adaptation, easing into it. First thing you're going to do is literally just start kind of getting in the habit of checking in with yourself. We're going to review the basic behaviors that you're going to use for that check-in. Then we're going to talk about tools that athletes, very dedicated athletes, may use or may not use, depending on your level and your desired level of involvement in nutrition that you could be using to really get, because there's so much going on in the technological space. You can really dial in your nutrition very, very, very finely. So we will talk about those tools at length, how to get them set up. So we're going to be looking at the back end and what kind of configurations you're going to be putting into these tools to make them work for you. Talk about after you do so, checking in again with how those things are going. It's not something that you can set it and forget it. It's something that requires constant vigilance and constant monitoring and updating based on how you're feeling, how your performance is improving or unimproving, and your feelings. And then finally, we'll just talk about the world of nutrition and what these scientists know and don't know, before kind of just giving you guys a little preview of what is coming up throughout the remainder of this season's training talks. So where do you start with nutrition in the anatomical adaptation phase? I would always start with just 1 to 2 weeks of just like a crappy little like notebook or some sort of journal where you can use an online tool if you want, but just as simple as I ate this. You don't need to know exactly how many calories just yet, but start looking at the quality of the food you're eating and being more mindful of those choices. Are you eating 3 meals a day? Are you eating 6 meals a day? Are you a snacker? Are you one that skips breakfast and gorges later on in the day? Have you tried intermittent fasting? That's just a fancy term for likes to skip breakfast, I think. They just remarketed it. I disagree that it's a good thing. Anyway, so that's a topic for another day. Don't skip breakfast though. Then call it intermittent fasting like it's fancy. Just don't do that. Anyway, get accustomed with yourself. Get honest with your tendencies, because when you do hop over to those athlete tools, we want to know how many meals you're eating in a day. So when I'm in my on season, and typically just in general, I eat 6 meals a day. So I eat breakfast, morning snack, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner, dessert. I never pass up dessert. So that's 6 meals. If I want to eat 3,000 calories a day, I have to eat 500 calories at each of those meals. So that's how you're going to end up doing your math. So if you only eat 3 meals a day, it's going to be really hard to eat 1,000 calories per meal, right? And I think that's what a lot of people do run into is typically under eating in a way that leads to malnourishment and like binging when you're not feeling stuffed. But if you start journaling that now loosely, you're going to see those patterns and be able to make better decisions as we move forward. Feelings about your food, even just looking for call out words, like if you thought you were bad or something because you did eat a cookie versus thinking, you know, that it made you have enough energy to go for an afternoon walk, right? So if the cookie gave you energy to go for a walk, it wasn't a bad cookie. He was a good cookie. Not all cookies are bad. So how you feel about the food that you're consuming, as well as your energy levels and those subjective feelings of, I woke up today and I felt like crap. Okay, so I woke up today and I felt like crap. What did I eat the last 2 days? Because you're going to probably, again, start to see patterns. But again, whatever level you're at, whether you have tracked calories and done this every single year for the last decade, or whether this is your first time ever looking into nutrition and really like diving into nutrition from a performance standpoint, ease back into it. Do not go 0 to hero. Frankly, I always ease back into it. I do the same thing every year where I take it slow. I just take a few weeks to be really forgiving with myself about the discipline it takes to track these things, right? Like one thing in the brain at a time sometimes keeps it simpler. When you're doing this checking in, some of the main things we're going to be looking at is our basic behaviors. So if you weren't able to eat the meal that you wanted to eat, could it be because I run into this a lot, unfortunately, with clients where they wanted to eat a certain way, but they won't cook a meal because their significant other won't eat it. And to which I reply, then they just ain't eating that night, right? So, but other people aren't as tough love as me. So they're very loving partners. I need a mug. I do have a mug. It's worst wife ever. I'm like, that's me. If you ain't, I cooked it. If you ain't eating it, go cook your own damn food. So unfortunately, not everyone has that mentality. So, you know, if your family or your friends or someone you're cooking for, if you're having issues with that, that's something you have to address before we're ever going to even look at macronutrients, right? So this is stuff we're going to find out in this checking in this journaling. You know, when you open your cabinets in your kitchen, do you see whole grains and minimally processed foods in their raw form, like nuts and seeds? When you open your fridge, do you see fruits and vegetables in their raw form? Or do you see nutrition labels? Lots of nutrition labels with you know, marketing and branding and colors and things. So what do you see when you open your cabinets? What's the precision nutrition law says, if it is in your house, then either you or someone you love is going to eat it. So if you don't think you should be eating it and you don't think your family should be eating it, just don't even bring it into your house, because starting with a nice healthy kitchen comes long before we start talking about intermittent fasting. I mean, breakfast skipping, right? Like, we don't do that. So bringing it into your house, your grocery habits, and these better nutritional choices. Like I said, there's no such thing as a bad cookie. I have a terrible sweet tooth, but the things that I keep in my cabinet, I can throw together 3 ingredient cookies. I mash a banana, add cocoa powder, and grind up rolled oats. Bing, bang, boom. And I mash that and drizzle it with some maple syrup, throw it in the toaster oven, and I have a cookie. Sometimes I'll add protein powder, boom, chocolate chips, who knows, right? Like, but it's healthy ingredients. So I get to have that cookie, but I know that it's a nourishing cookie. Like, I know that. So if you have healthy ingredients in your house, everything you make is going to be nutritionally solid. When you go into your TrainingPeaks, is it green, yellow, orange, or red? What color is your TrainingPeaks? If it's red, we don't need to talk about your macronutrient breakdown just yet. We're going to keep talking about these absolutely basic behaviors. We'll talk about a little bit today about correct portion sizes, but again, that's part of your checking in. Do you have a giant dinner, but your snacks are really small, instead of like potentially parsing those calories out evenly throughout a day, or are you gorging at a certain time? Because we can start talking about nutrient timing. We can start talking about loading the higher carbohydrate intake and loading the meals that are a little bit more glycogen fueled towards those workouts, so that you're getting better performance and better performance adaptations in those workouts in your anatomical adaptation phase. And making sure that your diet and your nutrition is contributing to your gains, and you successfully completing the workout. So you're not too tired to finish it, or you're not too tired to hit a certain heart rate, or even just as simple as your weekly volume targets. So if you're missing more than 20% of your scheduled workouts for the week because you're like, oh, well, I was too tired after work, I was too tired, then that's nutritional. That's not related. It can be related to cortisol and stress, but it's typically nutritional. But that is something that I think most people in this group, we're pretty much in this level. But once in your 1 to 2 weeks of check-in, if we identify that you need to drop down a level, we can. If you identify that you're at this level, this is perfect. We can start selecting upper level behaviors as needed for your nutritional needs, such as the micronutrients and caloric intake, right? And you can even change those throughout the week, but we'll get into that again much later. So this is part of your initial check-in after your off season and your anatomical adaptation, just being honest, because healthy eating equals mindful eating. Let's see, can I get to this? Yes. I made a self-assessment for paddlers in my Google Forms. So if you guys would like to take it at any point, because I'm a nerd and I love data, you can go into, and I will just put this in the chat. I think I will put this in the chat. Over here, meeting chat. Oh, that says edit. How do I share? Wait, send. I should have done this already. I'm so unprepared. Look, that's way too long. Got it. Okay. Da, 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 da. All right. Nerd link sent. So I have created a winning behaviors checklist. My end goal, you will not see results from this self-assessment. This is more just for you. You can fill it out as many times as you want. At the end, it does ask you what's the highest world ranking you've ever attained, what the most competitive race you've competed in, because I want to make a scatter plot of these winning behaviors against where people have performed in their career, in their paddling career. So obviously my hypothesis is that the people with the highest scores of winning behaviors will have attained the highest world rankings and the highest levels of athletic achievement. But I could be wrong, but science, only through real science, we will determine that. But this is a little side nerd project of mine if you want to be part of it. So, but it is the self-assessment, there's another self-assessment as well. If you want it, precision, what is it? Yeah. Precision nutrition level 1 behaviors, then you can get a, I'll share that link later because I lost it. So there's another one that gives you like math and tells you, but this one, the higher you score, the better. And then check in now and you can check in again later. So, athlete tools, not to be discounted. You do not need a gram scale just yet. If you don't want it, you do not need a fancy online calorie counter. You don't need a fancy Garmin watch. If you are a low budget athlete, I am not judging. I am one myself 90% of the time. And the more self-reliant you can be without technology and all of those fun things, I think the better. Because sometimes being a little too stringent with your technologies and your tracking, it's a point of potential breakdown when you're traveling and things don't make it. A watch dies, you can't weigh out your food precisely. And so it's a kink in the chain, right? It's a potential breakdown point in the chain when you are going to that world-class event and you're not in your kitchen with, or your tools aren't set up properly, or something malfunctions. Then there's just that slight in the back of my mind, like, oh, did I eat enough today? I'm not sure. Which should never be in the back of your mind when going to a world-class event. It should be, oh my God, my stomach hurts. I've eaten so much food. That's my MO. It seems to work. So anyway, but there shouldn't be even that, like, don't provide that opportunity, right? For a breakdown. Your hands and that subjective feel, but your hands cannot be understated. Like, these are the only things you need to determine what you're eating every day. And oh my goodness, no. Where did it go? Okay, go there. Oh my God. I am going to lose my mind. How do I get to the... Sorry, guys. I say I'm good at technology. I'm lying through my teeth. I don't know how to get there. Go there. I will put this in the chat as well for you to go access. When we talk about our protein, we're going to use our palm. If you are a bigger human, your palm is bigger than a smaller human. So it is approximately correct. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of this. Vegetables are carbs, but vegetables, we're going to do just a fist. So like sometimes I just grab 2 fistfuls of spinach. That's a fist, right? My cup, this is 1 cup of carbs. That's typically for me about a half a cup when I measure it out, which is kind of handy. And this is your fats, unless what's my joke? Avocado. This is 1 thumb of avocado if you hold it like that, because we love avocados. So use your parallax. So if you are having a day with pretty low energy needs, here is a nice setup for either a balanced or a high carb diet. So I err on the side of balanced this time of the year, unless you are someone who is working very heavily on generating more strength training. So if in your anatomical adaptation phase, you're doing more heavy lifting and or more like carbohydrate burning, like base work, well, base work, you should be burning fat this time of year. But if your energy levels are low, go with higher carb. If your energy levels are good, go balanced. But on an off day, this would be your 1 to 2 palms of protein being maybe even better for strength training. Again, it depends. You're going to take notes and then you're going to check in again with yourself. You're going to make adjustments, right? Moderate levels of activity. Again, I prefer the balance. And we'll talk about why I'm not a huge fan of the lower carb approach here in a minute, as we get through this PowerPoint. But moderate activity, maybe like 1 a days. And then if you're doing 2 a days, definitely go with this high activity level. And again, this is all you need. I'm highly, if anyone's looking at this and going, precision nutrition, she mentions that a lot. And you go to their website and they advertise their online nutrition certificate to you. It's not cheap, but if you want to know if it's awesome and amazing and well worth it, yes, it is. I did it. I couldn't recommend it more highly. But a lot of their stuff is free, like as well. So you don't have to. You can order the book used probably and just read the book. You don't have to take like the expensive online course. The online course isn't, just read the book. There. Okay. So let's get into the athlete tools. So say you're like, okay, cool. That's nice. I did the hand portions. I'm moving out of anatomical adaptation. I'm moving into my base season, and I'm beyond hand portions. I know how to use that. And I want to build muscle, or I want to lose 5 pounds in fat. And like, you have a very specific goal. And in that winning behaviors checklist, you are nailing all of those. There's no like, oh, some days I eat too much. Oh, some days I eat too little. And you're inconsistent with your nutrition, or you're inconsistent with things. If that's not you, and you also don't have any compulsion around that eating, where you're like, this is a game, I am having fun. I'm a paddler. I love paddling. Paddling is fun. Whether it's at a highly competitive level or recreationally, in my regional races, it doesn't matter, but it's fun to push myself to my next level, wherever that is. It is not because I am lacking in any way. It is not because I'm trying to prove myself, anything to myself or to others. It's because I enjoy it. Like, you truly enjoy the process and improving yourself, then we can start diving into these athlete tools and using them, and understanding that if we didn't use them for a day, it's no big deal. If we eat right, 6 out of 7 days a week, you're going to hit all your goals. Like, if you're going to be fine. So you don't have to be meticulous to the point where if any of these tools, like you skip a few days or something's not perfect, that you're feeling like you've failed at all. Even if you started tracking 1 day a week to start, like, that's fine. Again, anatomical adaptation phase going into base season is when we're going to start using these actual tools. So how many times did I open these things? All right. No. I don't know if you guys can use the professional calculator. I'm going to type that in the chat just in case. If you can't access that, there's a regular calorie. No. Actually, I think we'll get to that in just a second. Yeah, we're going to get to that next. All right, so the first thing, if you're ready to kind of take it past hand portions and start counting, I highly, highly recommend the MyFitnessPal integration, because I know there's a lot of calorie tracking and calorie counter things on the market, but this one integrates with TrainingPeaks and integrates with your Garmin. So what you end up doing as an athlete, especially if you're wearing a Garmin watch that has the all-day heart rate tracking, like the all-day feature, this is going to estimate your caloric needs across 24 hours. So not just during an activity, but from the time you wake up, it knows that your heart rate is up, and it's accounting for that, how many steps you take each day. It adjusts your calorie needs in MyFitnessPal just based on your daily step counts. And it's counting, like, if you're sick or something like that, when you sleep, and it's actually kind of creepy, but it's cool too. Some nights, like, you get better sleep than others. So you might have more or less caloric burn in your sleep, which we don't want a ton of caloric burn in our sleep. But if you're under a lot of stress at work and you're waking up a lot, or, like when I was sick most recently, like, this thing showed a lot of stress, and my calorie needs for those days was a lot higher because my body was under stress. And so that was adjusted for down in the, we'll show you that in a minute, down in the MyFitnessPal daily calorie needs section. So if you need to sync TrainingPeaks and MyFitnessPal. You can quick Google that, but I'm also just going to pop that in the chat. This sync article set up a new and or existing MyFitnessPal account. You go up into the settings once you've got your account set up, and you're going to go down to update diet fitness profile. You can change this as frequently as you want. You could change this every freaking week if you need to. So if like you put in a certain level, and I would give it at least 2 weeks, but if you put in certain things for 2 weeks and you're noticing just way too low energy levels or way too much weight gain, like you can come in here and tweak this very frequently, based on what you're finding. So ignore my pregnant weight, but that is not my goal weight. I would highly also advocate, you can see in your TrainingPeaks how many workouts per week you are typically going to have. I would always start with maintain my current weight. I know everyone this time of year goes, lose 2 pounds per week. Please, please, please don't lose 2 pounds per week and try to train for paddle sports. It won't work. It's just not going to happen. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but if you focus on performance and not the scale, you're going to be fine. I can't performance, not weight. So either the most I would ever do, and maybe when you shift it over into base season, and only if you can get through the season without writing in your little notebook or in your TrainingPeaks journal that you're feeling tired. If you see the word tired, then you go back in and you change this to maintain my current weight, because tired, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I warned you, and I'm back. Tough love. No, the answer is just no. So, at most you could put in lose 0.5 pound a week at most. And even that, maintain. Because I swear, if you do maintain my current weight and you're training, and you're being mindful about your nutrition, your body is going to recomposition itself, and you're going to be higher percentage of muscle and a lower percentage of fat. And just don't get me started. Your muscular system is an immune organ. Did you know that? Did you know your immune system works better when you're filled with muscles and you burn more calories? Like everything works better. I'm going to share a podcast with you, with everybody. Actually, I'm doing like a whole thing. It's about muscle, and just health in America. So everybody lift and everybody eat your food. So come in here, and change that. It's going to, when you hit update, it's going to spit out a calorie estimate, what it thinks you should be burning every day. Your Garmin, based on the things that you've put in, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Whatever. Everything's broken. Where'd it go? Now I'm breaking things. Okay. Garmin's going to have a completely different estimate than MyFitnessPal, unfortunately. And frankly, I don't care for either of them. What I really want you to go in and look at is, for a starting point, the precision nutrition calculator that we're going to talk about on the next page. So you're going to have 3 potentially very different calorie estimates as an athlete. And it's important to know that all of them are right and none of them are right. So don't get crazy about the daily calorie counts. When we have this MyFitnessPal set up with the Garmin, again, if you walk more on a certain day, it's going to say you've earned extra calories from something today. So even if you do a workout, it's going to make a big number here, even just from daily walking and daily heart rate data. It is going to add 200 to 300 extra calories, even on an off day, just for your basal metabolic rate. So I do like that aspect of it. Garmin is going to tell you you're overeating. Tell it to shut up. Don't listen to it. If you want to start looking at, like I said, really getting in depth with those, like those calorie counts and maybe my macronutrient counts, or seeing the exact precise hand portion measurements, then you're going to, you're going to go to this website. I can't go there because I'm currently logged in or whatever. So it is now in the chat. This is going to give you your hand portion guides for your individual goals. But compare that and contrast that to the MyFitnessPal. Again, it's just data. It's more data, and it kind of gives you more of a range. And just like going to the doctor, get a second opinion sometimes. So Precision Nutrition is going to say one thing, TrainingPeaks might say another, Garmin's going to say another. Between the Precision Nutrition and the MyFitnessPal, as it is, as long as it is completely synced to your Garmin, also that is now in the chat if you are struggling at all how to connect the Garmin to MyFitnessPal, because we absolutely, what you're going to find as you're doing this initial check-in early in the season, you might wake up and say, oh, okay, I got to eat, 0 calories today. I got to eat 2,000 some odd calories today. If you do 2 workouts and you burn 700-800 calories all of a sudden, plus walking. So yeah, you walk and you do 1 to 2 workouts, it'll say you've earned 800 extra calories today. And all of a sudden this number is going to, it's going to adjust. It's going to say your adjusted daily goal is 3,000 calories. And you woke up thinking, oh, I only have to eat 2,000 calories today. And you start breakfast, with 250 calories. But at the time you get to the end of the day, and this is adjusted, now it'll be 3,000, you're 800 short, and you're like, oh shit, there's no way I can eat. I was going to eat 400 calories for dinner, and now I have an extra 800 that I have to make up. I have to eat 1,200 calories for dinner, and you're going to feel gross, and you're not going to, it's not going to feel good. So just, again, starting to get more mindful and checking in with yourself, like, hey, I'm typically burning this many calories on Mondays because I do sprints, or on Thursdays, I'm doing 2 a days, 1 in the gym, 1 base session on the water. Sundays are my off day and I hardly burn any calories. So you can get in there and preemptively be like, I know this day is going to be less for me. All right, Kim, unmute yourself.
Okay. So when it does say that, I have this weird, so on MyFitnessPal, it's weird because like I went to the gym this morning, right? And it said you burn 250 calories or whatever, but it does it twice. It's counting it twice for some reason. And then it counts my strength workout twice. And I don't know if it's, and because when I went in, here's what I did in MyFitnessPal, which is different than what you're saying. In MyFitnessPal, I just put that I was completely lazy and on the couch. And the reason I did that so that it would add all my exercise to it.
It's going to add your exercise, whether you put that you're highly active or completely lazy.
So should you put that you're active?
To be honest.
Okay. Because I put lazy because I was like, maybe that it'll be more like precise, because it's like for your, I just put that I was like, I didn't exercise at all. Right. So
yeah,
very little activity.
Well, I think you're still eating more than you were, right?
Still what? Oh no, I am.
Yeah.
Because I am like looking at my watch and I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, I'm definitely eating way more than I was.
How do you feel, by the way?
Great.
Okay. Just
good. No, I feel really good. Yeah.
Checking in front of everyone, no pressure.
Okay, but I was just thinking, I wonder why it counts it twice, and I guess it doesn't matter as long as it.
No, it shouldn't be counting it twice, though. That's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe
So I'll have to go back in on my computer and adjust things. Maybe it's doing something wacky with my
Double
phone.
check, because it should be, and there might be like a two-way thing.
It doesn't pull in my Connect Garmin unless, and if I hit Garmin connect to it, then it erases all the other things and just leaves a yoga and a weight training for every day almost. It's weird.
That is weird, because maybe is it pulling from TrainingPeaks instead of Garmin?
No, I don't think so.
That's weird. I would disconnect the connections and reconnect.
Okay,
Like,
that's what I'll do.
Just restart.
Yeah,
I would,
all right.
because
Okay.
it should only. But are you sure that it's? If you did nothing, if you track no workouts,
It'll
this is
say 1,200 calories is what I should eat.
no. But this is still, so it might not be doing it twice. So if you think it's doing it twice, are you sure it's not giving you 250 for the workout and 250 just for your daily steps?
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's what it is.
That's what I think. So look, I've done nothing today, and just walking around my house and waking up and drinking coffee and doing your morning whatever, I have 190 calories that Garmin knows, like the little gyro in this thing
Right.
knows I'm walking around. Look, how many more calories can I get just by doing this?
Okay.
It's gonna add more than just your 2 workouts.
Right, because maybe I did put in that I was a little bit active. I'll have to look back
Good.
at it because I know I did it. Because maybe that's where it's getting the extra calories. I'll look.
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, so if you did the math of like what TrainingPeaks estimates or Garmin estimates, and they're going to be different for your individual workouts, that will be here plus. So like, yeah, again, it's 1046 here, 1045 or whatever here, and I'm already almost 200 calories extra for my days.
Right, because it says that I should be doing 2,232 calories today based on my workouts that I did already.
Yeah. And so that's probably not just your workouts, it's your workouts plus walking from your car to the workout, loading the boat, unloading the boat,
Okay.
making the coffee, whatever you're doing. It's counting everything. And that's why I do like this app.
Okay.
Because when you do something, people get too hung up. Like, oh, well, this app says, and you know, this app says I eat 2,600 calories. Here, I'll look at you. And this app says I got to eat this many calories, but this is the only app that I know once you sync it with your Garmin, the number just keeps going up throughout the day. You know, everything you do, it's like, oh wait, eat more, eat more, eat more. And that's why I'm saying, you know, take these first 2 weeks of your season to get an idea. It's like, okay, you're starting at 2,200. First of all, make sure you can eat 2,200, because a lot of people who have been consistently under fueling for many years might struggle eating that many calories, especially if you're going to build those calories out of very healthy, nutrient dense things like leafy greens and lean proteins and fiber. It's really freaking hard to eat 2,200 calories a day. I made one of the taco salads from the recipe I'm gonna be sharing with everybody later on in this season. But Kim, I sent you like all the things, like that taco salad. I feed that to my husband sometimes. He can't get to the bottom of the bowl. He's like, I can't eat this. I'm like, good. It's very filling, and it's very difficult to eat without sauces and added sugars and fillers and crap. It is so hard to eat this many calories. It is very, very hard. So that number, the more active you are, just keeps ticking up and ticking up and ticking up. So if, again, you get to the end of the day and you kind of haven't looked at MyFitnessPal, and you shouldn't be like, you know, hovering over it all day, like obsessively, right? But if this number is suddenly 1,000 calories more, then you have to make that up. Like you have, if you don't eat that 1,000 calories, maybe not the workout tomorrow, like, but the workout the next day and the next day are absolutely going to suffer. It's a delayed onset too. So it's not like you miss those calories and you feel it. Some days you do feel it instantly, but it's a slow, steady downward spiral where, you know, 2 days from now you wake up and you're like, oh, I feel tired. I don't feel like getting my day started. I feel a little low energy. I feel a little lethargic, right? And then you kind of skip a workout. So then you skip a workout and you need fewer calories, and you eat fewer calories, and you feel like you didn't work out, so you didn't eat as much, and you keep downward spiraling. And it derails your whole season. So you've got to be fueling each day based on those needs. And it's not for today, yet it is for today too, because you need those calories to recover from what you did this day. But you also need it so that you feel good the next morning and the next morning and the next morning, so that you can stay on track, so that your TrainingPeaks turns green, not red. We don't want red. I'm trying to think. And the other thing that that I really do like about the MyFitnessPal syncing with, like, this is just kind of like the interface, right? That I've found to be very successful. I love it in the TrainingPeaks, which I didn't have open. And those of you that use TrainingPeaks know is that it then, when you connect those two, it goes and it completely syncs up with your workouts. So you know that, hey, I did 2 a day today, and then I ate enough food, right? Like, so you can see it. And then, like, on an off day, maybe it's not as important. Like, if training was light, you could be lighter on calories, or maybe you just don't even count that day at all. You're like me. So, when you're working towards something or a very specific goal, I would want to see even more. Like, you can go back through here. That's why I love TrainingPeaks. I love keeping training journals, whether they're handwritten or digitally searchable like this, because you can go back and be like, oh, I was super disciplined going into this event. Look how much I was eating, how green my TrainingPeaks was. And then, if you start seeing these calorie counts either drop off just in value, or you're seeing them become less consistent, and your TrainingPeak starts turning red, or maybe it slowly filters through yellow, through orange, back to red, then right? Like, that was, oh, hey, I started falling off my nutrition. And you can see correlations, and especially too, if you're coming in here and you are leaving yourself notes, feeling tired. If you wrote tired in there, then, and you look at the nutrition the week before, be like, oh, I was really low this week, or I was on the road or traveling and I didn't get to my nutrition. But then the next week you notice a marked diminishment in your times, or your regular athletic performance. You just felt tired when you lift, and you couldn't lift as much, or you did your 13-minute repeats. That's my favorite workout. This one. You do your 13-minute repeats, and you're just like, you're fully aerobic, but you're like, God, my speed's crap right now. Did you eat last week? Like, you're gonna find these correlations. You're absolutely gonna start seeing these things. And this is how you coach yourself. I can't coach everybody. So, like, this is how you start looking at it and being your own coach and your own detective, right? Because that's all I'm doing. So you guys can do it too. No one else pays attention as much as you do. So, yeah, you guys can, going into an event like, oh, that's me and Mo, the Wild Buffalo Relay. Speaking of Mo, was I eating good? I think so. Well, this week, look at all those 3,000 calorie days. I was ready for that one. Yeah, so these 3 tools completely sync up, and make your life as an athlete, I think, a lot easier. They enable you to dial in your nutrition. You can update MyFitnessPal, like I said, weekly if you needed to change those goals and make those adjustments. Do not set it to lose weight. Focus on performance, which is maintain weight. Maximum lose a half a pound a week if you are feeling like you need to. Garmin is going to sync to that and automatically update those daily calorie counts. Keep an eye on them, a close eye, because by the end of the day, the count is going to be a lot higher than when it started out, especially if you're active and you need to eat more in the morning than you think you do, so that you can account for that. But you'll get into that habit. That's why all you're doing now is practicing. Practice getting into that habit where, okay, when I do 2-a-days, I probably need to eat 500-600 calories at breakfast so that I'm not playing catch up at the end of the day. Because I've done that and it's uncomfortable. I usually do Greek yogurt with granola. Granola is really calorie dense, and fruit. So that's like my go-to for dessert. Like if I'm really low on calories, I can get 500-600 calories at the end of the day with full fat Greek yogurt. It's really high in protein as well. A keto granola, which is super high in fat. Again, fats are more calorie dense, but later in the season, we're going to be talking about macronutrients, which we're not talking about today, and how different macronutrient ratios can impact your performance and your hormones and all those fun things. So don't overdo the fats, ladies. That's what checking in, part 2. We're moving right along. So keeping an eye on those 3 tools, if you so decide to go down that route and it is fun to you. Again, it's fun. If you're not having fun counting the calories and using all the tools and like seeing it as an experiment and some new endeavor in self-improvement and you're not enjoying it, stop. If you get angry when you can't count your calories, or you get angry when like there's something interfered with you, or you're snapping at your significant other because it wasn't the right carbohydrate that you wanted in your meal, then maybe stop counting and looking at things for a day. We want to keep it fun and enjoyable and keep the mindset light, and just it should be good times when we are doing our nutrition. It's part of self-improvement. We are not trying to prove anything. We're not trying to do anything crazy, right? Check in your, again, like we just talked about, look through your TrainingPeaks. Is anything turning yellow? Is anything turning orange? Is anything turning red? Are you missing workouts because the calorie intake was too low? If so, change those settings in MyFitnessPal. Again, don't look at the Garmin one at all. I had to change, I think I wrote that I'm a man in Garmin. Google's really confused now. It's like, so she's having a baby and she's a man? Yes. So I'm a seahorse. But yeah, I had to tell Garmin I was a man for it to tell me to eat enough calories, which I think is so BS. But so yeah, if you're seeing any red flags though, like constantly writing that you're feeling tired, or you're constantly missing workouts, or you just feel like your motivation is really low, then check in on those calories. Check in on maybe not just the caloric content, but like we can start looking at micronutrient ratios again, which we're going to talk about at a later date. And we might start looking into supplementation as well, based on your needs, because there are certain things, if you're doing 2-a-day workouts, you're not going to be getting what you need from your diet alone. Unfortunately, just as a side effect of modern agricultural practices, even the best, healthiest, most organic foods are unfortunately lower in micronutrient. So whereas we're getting the calories we need, we might not be getting the nutrients we need to build all of the hormones, the new muscle fibers and tissues. So we might need to add supplementation. I use Inside Tracker. Again, we are going to talk about that at a different date, but I typically every 6 months use InsideTracker.com to do a blood test and assess my values. It's like vitamin D, magnesium, testosterone, my white blood cells, my red blood cells, everything I need. So I keep an eye on that. So, oh, Kristen popped in the chat. She said, when am I due? January 21st, along with my first ozone container, by the way. I'm the new Ozone Carolinas rep for, and they decided to send me 30 canoes and a baby. I was like, thanks guys, this is going to be really fun. All right, so we're going to wrap this up and open up for questions. I just want to say, nutrition advice. You're going to find something on the internet that says like everyone's right and everyone's wrong. essentially. So you've got to take it with a grain of salt. If there's intermittent fasting, and there's nutrient timing, and there's carb loading, and there's low carb, and there's high carb, and there's keto, and there's paleo. Eat minimally processed whole foods. Eat until you are not hungry anymore. Eat multiple times a day. Fuel for your workouts. Make sure that you feel recovered and make sure that you feel motivated. In your base season, yes, when you are doing heavy lifting and you're building up large volumes of low intensity mileage on the water, there is going to be a low grade fatigue kind of in your body 24/7. You're going to learn what that feels like as an athlete, and you're going to know that that's normal. It's not that like hit snooze 20 times, I can't get out of bed fatigue. It's just like, yeah, I'm in my base season fatigue. And through the years, you will start to feel that, but you won't feel like you can't do it. You'll be like, yeah, I can still do this. When in doubt, turn your workout into aerobic recovery. If you don't have the energy to do a zone 1 workout, chances are you are not taking in enough energy. You should always have the energy to do zone 1. And hold on, I skipped Meryl. I put her hand down and then I forgot her. Sorry. We're gonna get to that in just a second. So there's a gazillion opinions out there. We are all different. I have long arms and I am a Neanderthal. I burn calories differently than someone who is more of a Homo sapien with, slow twitch muscle fibers, right? So we're all different, and what works for me might not work for you when it comes to macronutrient ratios or nutrient timing, right? This isn't as easy as paddle technique where we're on planet Earth and physics is physics. And unless we go paddle on Jupiter, whatever I say about physics holds. In nutrition world, the inside of your body is completely different than the inside of mine. Like our insides are different. So you need to use these tools. You need to, whether it is a notebook and your hands, or it is a schmancy Garmin and the TrainingPeaks MyFitnessPal interface, no matter how low tech or high tech you want to be with this, what is important is that you are mindful of your choices and you're tracking them so that you can be honest in your assessment of what you are consuming and what you are doing. You want to know what makes you feel like crap. Like you want to know when you have low energy. You want to know when you eat more carbs, it makes you gain weight in base season, right? Because it's not going to be the same. You're probably going to need a lot more carbs. Again, we will get to this in our future Zoom meetings. When you ramp up your training and you go into those build phases, you're going to ramp up your carbohydrate intake. No questions. But the nutrition profile that you're using right now is not going to be the nutrition profile you're using under a special scenario later in the season. But what you are doing right now is developing the habits and just getting all the tools you need set up for that base season, for that build season, for those peaking seasons. When we talk about how we are going to modify this base plan for a major race, or we modify this base plan for recovery. Because yeah, at the end of the day, not only are we all different, but nutrition science, they don't have a dang clue. They can claim they know so much. Nobody does. So carbs, proteins, fats, right? Everyone thinks it's at its most simple. Those are the 3 things that we need to survive. Did you know that there's such things as glycoproteins? It's a really fancy name for carb protein. And there's glycolipids, which is a fancy name for carb fat. So there's actually more than just 3 basic nutrients. These compound proteins occur in foods in these forms, and they can't get broken apart. it comes like a glycolipid comes packaged as a glycolipid, and you need it. You absolutely need it for hormone production. So if you're doing a carb restricted diet, you're actually going to miss out on certain glycolipids. You can eat a diet that is high in the macronutrient fat as determined by caloric measurements or whatever, but it's wrong. If you're not eating carbs that have glycolipids in them, then immunoglobulins, it's essentially a lot of your immune factors, all of your sex hormones, especially women. This way, low carb diets are terrible typically for women because of the glycolipids that come in certain carbs, like oats are really high in glycolipids, and certain rices and grains. So we skip those carbs and we're like, oh, well, I'm getting plenty of fat, but you're getting the wrong kind of fat. And if it's not attached to the glycogen, your body won't turn it into a sex hormone. And then you have menstrual disruptions and all these other cascade of issues. So taking this nutritional advice, like saying, oh, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to just cut my carbs out. There's carb fats. So don't cut out carbs because you might accidentally cut out your carb fats, which no one's counting. No one even considers that. Same with glycoproteins. These guys are just huge and important. I can't even remember, like for tissue synthesis, I think making mitochondria and things like that. So if you're not getting enough protein, but you're like, oh, I'm an athlete that uses a lot of carbs and I don't want to eat too much protein. You might not be getting the glycoproteins too. So anyway, and your brain is the number one consumer of glycogen anyway. So a lot of people, when they go low carb, tend to get brain foggy. And I know that the ketones will eventually kick in and all that jazz, but frankly, I wouldn't consider it a long-term performance strategy. So, and body composition. I don't know what I was going to say there, but we're running out of time anyway. So coming up later in the season, we are going to talk about each of the phases of training. Like I talked about earlier, and we are going to relate nutrition as we work through the base phase, and the best macronutrient ratios and supplements for base training, best macronutrient and supplement protocols for building, peaking, racing, and recovering. So that is all coming up soon. As the season progresses, we will be talking about various strategies and fun, exciting stuff like carb loading, like carb cutting. We will talk about it because they're all valid tools that we will use, but they're not long-term forever strategies. Same with our race strategies. What we eat going into a short sprint race is going to be a lot different than what we eat going into a 30 to 60 mile race. We'll talk about, like I said, those supplements. We'll talk a little bit more about that inside tracker. And finally, at the end of it all, I will have a fun recipe book. And if you want to test any of those recipes, shoot me a message. I can make you a guinea pig. Kim's already got them. You didn't know. You're going to report back. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? That button.
Hi. How would you combine the hand portion size tool with the food tracker? So could you rely on only the hand portion size?
Yeah. And that, again, that's for somebody. You could even come in. It's not more work or less work. Where is it? So if you came into TrainingPeaks, you're not going to see this macronutrient breakdown. And so macronutrient breakdown, this is really pretty and it looks cool. And I feel super good when I do it. But at the end of the day, there's up to, I think, 30% error in the calorimetric data for these calories. So even when I'm tracking, this could be up to 30% wrong. Isn't that crazy? Because of what, the apple that they put in the bomb colorimeter at the lab combusted, and they weighed its, tiny little parts, and they determined that an apple is, this much percent fat, protein, and carb. The apple that I just ate might not be. So I'm putting in X gram if I wanted to use gram scale, or one medium apple. My medium apple also might be 40 grams, and this person's medium apple might be 20 grams. So there's so many issues and errors in calorie tracking. That's another reason I don't want people to get, it's nice to have and to look at, but the hand portion guide is almost sometimes better. And I use it all the time, like I said, typically when traveling. So I just mentally in the back of my head. And what you would do if you wanted to have this same kind of like data when you came in to your TrainingPeaks to look at your energy levels and what you were eating, if you already have like a metrics, if you don't, you go to the plus sign and you add metrics. So even within this, you can go and change what metrics, I don't know. You can change what metrics you're seeing and not seeing. So you can add and take away what you do want to track and what you don't want to track. So this is fully customizable. So these probably look different in my app than what looks in your app, because these are the ones I wanted to track. And so you could just come in and write 2 palms protein, and like you can keep notes, right? So breakfast, to like just write what you had, and you can like bacon, 1 thumb fat egg yolk. So you could egg white. You could keep your own notes and just based on that portion guide if you wanted to. At the end of the day, I would write something like 2 palms short or over. So you can write if you're short or in excess of what the tracker is suggesting to you. And that would be enough to come back in and say, okay, well, hey, on this day, I got over to my metrics and I said motivation was uninspired. So if I had a very uninspired day, I could go back and just like click on my other days and look at my notes and be like, okay, well, yeah, I was deficient, or I didn't eat enough. It says, or if it says that if you're looking at your hand counts and you think you did eat enough, I would come in personally and I would, motivation, uninspired, following hand counts, still feeling lethargic, adding 2 cans of carbs per day. So I'm going to now add 2 to each day and see if that gets me where I want to be. So now, 7 days from now, I come in and like, it's literally just, it's a daily journal. And if you wanted to do that, like in an athlete agenda with your hand and a pencil, that's totally fine. I do, once you do start taking absolutely like daily notes as an athlete, or, like you're really working on honing something in, which I think is worth mentioning just because you take daily notes doesn't mean you're going to take daily notes forever. Sometimes you might be trying to fix something. Like, hey, I want to lean down for a race. I want to lose 4 pounds. Exactly. Or I want to build 2 pounds of muscle so that my next sprint season, like if you have a very specific goal, have a start and an end date for being meticulous in your tracking. So it's not this either or, like I do it all the time or I don't do it at all. Sometimes you just do things when you need to. And again, that's why we have that off season, because we don't do anything. But you need that mental break and you need that physical break. But if I were doing hand portions and working towards a very specific goal, I would keep notes in my metrics in TrainingPeaks. That's how I would do it. Alternatively, I have a hand portion guide adaptation for the recipes that I have. So some of the recipes are available if you guys are in the Punk Paddler group. I don't think they're here. No. So yeah, if you're in the Punk Paddler group, there is in the plan library, there is a sample nutrition plan with, when you click on these, almost everyone should be clicking on this one. The 2200 route, when you click on this, it opens it up and has an example meal for you to make. It does not have the hands, but I do have those.
There's the taco salad you've been talking about.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. This husband can't finish it taco salad. Dude, it is actually not that bad, but when you add that 1 full cup of cooked rice, whew, dude, that salad, it's a beast. But that is in there, so you guys can give that a try. Cool. Okay, questions? Yeah, that's pretty straightforward, I think.
I have a comment.
I'm ready.
Well, because we've been working on my nutrition, but I just want to say that if anybody's like thinking that you can't up your calories and not gain weight, it is working, where I've upped my calories and stayed basically the same. So, which I was kind of freaking out because I was like, last thing I want to do is gain like 10 pounds on, but anyways, I just wanted to say that. So, and only because of April, I would not do it. I would just be like, still like way lower calories than normal, or than what she says I should eat. So
Keep eating, eat more. It is funny. Some of you guys might know Donna Kahakui from Hawaii. She's very strong. She can kick my ass in any paddle race ever. When she and I did the Wild Buffalo, she's like, I'm gonna put you in charge of nutrition because I gotta fly in and I gotta do all these things. And so I'm feeding her and I'm feeding her. She gets to the end of the day and she looks at me and she puts like her spoon in her bowl and she goes, I can't eat anymore. I said, shut up, keep eating. She goes, I've never eaten so much food in my life. And I was like, and it was so cold that year and she's Hawaiian. And I was like, you're gonna use over half of those calories just shivering to keep warm in the boat. I said, don't stop eating, just keep eating. Meanwhile, the other Hawaiians did freeze their butt off and we beat them because they were cold. They were using all their calories to stay warm and I overfed her. And so she was like, I've never eaten this much food in my life. And I was like, good. I felt honored. But yeah, it took me a long time too. I have a family that does not have a healthy relationship with food. I was not raised to eat food or breakfast or anything. And it took me a long time to learn that I actually needed to eat more to lean down. Because I was always like eating 1,200, 1,500 calories a day, wondering why do I keep gaining weight? I like calories in, calories out, right? It is seriously not that simple. Because again, and I've said this time and time again, and when you go back into the Get Training tab in the paddle training community, when we talk about the base season and we talk about building those body parts, when we don't have enough calories coming in, our body will turn off non-essential functions. And typically for men and women, men that manifests as low testosterone, and women that manifests typically as menstrual disruptions. And because we don't need our hormones to survive. So our body, calories in, calories out, sure, but it's going to turn off non-essential functions that are going to throw us out of whack, and conserve that for maybe like those 2 high intensity workouts, those workouts you probably shouldn't be doing, you know, at that comfortably hard threshold level, when you should be doing base work and you should be eating more food. But I did that for years and years and years and couldn't figure out why. I was very chunky. And it wasn't until I started eating 25, 27, 3,000 calories a day that I actually lost weight and was happy. I stopped wearing boy shorts, you know, for like the first time in my life. So it was nice. And now I just want to share that with people, because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have believed it myself. So eat, eat food.
So I don't have trouble eating. I eat a lot of food. But do you have suggestions on trying to go from, I guess, where to even begin with the kind of the crap calories versus the, you know, to try to restart the healthy kitchen things? Because I am trying to cook more at home, and I am trying to, you know, do more of that. But then just as we run into, you know, we do the 2-a-day workouts, and now I'm at 1,000-calorie deficit, and now I have to go have a Big Mac meal, and it's delicious and I don't mind it, but it's not, you know, the ideal way. So I'm getting my calories that I need 90% of the time, but they're not the best calories. And so it's like, all right, how to shove that in with time and life, right?
Definitely. Yeah, so over here, the sample nutrition plan. Actually, you know what? I'll just open up the Google. Where's my Google Drive? One of my favorite stories is the day, like the time I finished Koh Nui, and I realized that I was close to 2,000 calories in a deficit. And so I ran to Whole Foods and I bought the 8 double chocolate chunk fudge cookies and the pint of Ben and Jerry's. And there was my 2,200 calorie deficit, and I did it, and I ate it. And I woke up the next morning feeling like, yeah, I can race again. Cause I knew if I didn't do that, there was no way I was going to wake up. And you know, are they the best calories? No. Are they the worst calories? Oh, I went to Whole Foods. I felt like I did a fine job.
Because that's what I run into, right? It's kind of like, okay, I eat good calories. I feel like more than I don't. But then, yeah, you run into that. And now I'm like, ah, crap, the day got away from me. And now I'm in this huge caloric deficit. And I know if I don't just shove them in, the pain of not having the calories is going to be worse than whatever calories I just put in. But obviously, that's not ideal if I'm trying to have this fine-tuned machine at this point.
I think if you can, you could almost sacrifice at your level. You can absolutely sacrifice 1 workout a week for meal prep. So if it's a matter of time and you have an 1.5-hour workout that is kind of like a medium, like you can skip one of your workouts from your TrainingPeaks each week and you're not going to notice.
That feels so wrong. It feels wrong.
But it's a balance, right? Yeah. So if you have that workout, and that's, you're loading your boat, you're driving to the water, you're getting in the water, you're doing the workout, you're reloading your boat, you're rinsing your boat, you're taking it home. So now all of a sudden that 1.5 hours becomes a pretty big chunk of time. And that chunk of time, let's face it, should be maybe you pre-make. Did I share my screen? You see the food?
Yes.
Maybe you make these things. So this 2-a-day, this one for me was always the easiest because, granola, you can buy any granola in a bag. And almond milk comes in those little, single serve things that you probably buy for Luke anyway. So like you could literally have like a camping bowl or something like that and handful of granola, or you could put a cup scoop in there. It doesn't matter. Scoop out that granola, dump in that little almond milk container and spoon it in like that. That's a to-go meal and that's healthy. The afternoon snack is an apple with peanut butter or almond butter. That couldn't be more portable. Like you just leave a thing of almond butter or peanut butter in your glove box. Like it's gonna be great. And keep a thing of apples back there. This one, the sweet potatoes for me, ended up being a game changer because they're so calorically dense. Making this my pre-workout, I think, was one of the big shifts in my performance, because sweet potato, it's natural, it's healthy. One of the absolute best fuels that you can eat pre-workout. So I would just buy like 7 sweet potatoes and roast them on Sunday night. That doesn't take any work. You throw them in the oven and you walk away. And you come back and you turn off the oven and you let them cool, and then you peel the skins off and put them in little containers. And you can either put those in the freezer or you can put them in the fridge for that week. So if you wanted to do 2 weeks of sweet potatoes, throw them in the freezer, and then when you throw them in your car, they'll thaw out while you're driving around and you're busy during the day. And yeah, you know what? After 30 days of eating sweet potatoes before every workout, are you going to hate me and hate sweet potatoes? Absolutely. I sat there and I was like, nah, nah. I did not want to eat one more sweet potato for the rest of my life, but I did it and it really made a difference. So sometimes you also just have to be like, I'm so sick of sweet potatoes, but I would rather win than, like, I want to do my best at this event, and I'm just going to keep eating this freaking sweet potato, right? Like pick your battles. So it's not glamorous. So you're not going to be getting something new and exciting that tantalizes the taste buds every day. But it's really easy. It's so easy just to throw your frozen cup of sweet potatoes into the car, and choke it down before your workout. I never ate those 2 tablespoons of this French almond granola though with them. I never did that.
Okay.
So I was like, I put that in. I never missed that 55 calories. It never upset me. At the end of the day, every day, when I followed this plan, I did 2 to 3 squares of dark chocolate every day. And that gave me an extra 100, 200 calories. So that got me up to around 2,500. But yeah, the sweet potatoes were really good. And then strawberries, like you can do frozen, like pre-make I don't use Vegasport anymore. I use KOS now. But pre-make a smoothie, your protein shake for after. And then this one's a really easy one to pre-make as well. So some of these I pre-made, like, so taking that one workout a week in the interest of time and pre-making these protein pancakes. You follow this recipe and you don't need to make them as pancakes, like in liquid form, and pour them out onto the pan. This is one I'll sometimes do in muffin cups or in a tray, like a baking tray, and cut it into little squares. These are another one that you can freeze really easily. So you could make your entire week's worth of this and just be done with it. And this is another way that I get in extra calories. So say I am eating 3,000 calories a day and struggling to hit that number. Because I've graduated, like I don't follow this anymore. This was like how I started, but this isn't what I do exactly. It's a good way to pre-make things and know you're getting the right amount of food. But these days, if I'm struggling to eat over 3,000 calories, I make this recipe, this protein pancake recipe. I actually make it as cookies. And I carry around, so that's almost 500 calories of cookies now I eat a day. So I'll eat these like 1 or 2 after breakfast, or 1 or 2 after lunch, or 1 or 2 after dinner. So I'll just add these as cookies throughout the day, or across 2 days. But it's a really nutrient dense recipe that you can keep for a few days, even on your counter. and just have them in your car and eat them. So they're way higher quality, but you can make them in such bulk. The taco salad's a little hard, but I would make this for 5 days at a time. So I would pre-prep 5 days of it, and the chicken, that's about as long as that shredded chicken's gonna last in there. Anything longer than 5 days, you probably shouldn't have the chicken in there, right? So some things, but I would do this on Sunday. I would pre-make everything because I was working full time, and I would just eat. But 1 day of prep, it's like a half day, not even a full half day. And then same spaghetti meatball or spaghetti squash with meatball. You can cook like 5 spaghetti squashes all at once, scoop them out, add the marinara sauce. You can make the little turkey meatballs separate, keep those frozen, throw them all together at the end of the day, add that house salad or throw in some sauteed spinach or some sort of dark leafy green. And that's done. Everything on this list is almost 500 calories. So the 1 a day workout just takes the exact same recipes and kind of cuts the carbs down. And then this is another good one. Breakfast sausage sandwich. Like I said, I'm gonna make these available to everybody. I'm gonna do a little recipe book, and like this is an easy one to make, and then you can freeze them and like grab. It's like a McDonald's breakfast sandwich, but you made it yourself, and so it's higher. Well, it's probably the same in calories, but it's gonna address that issue of quality. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, Meryl.
Do you for the taco salad again? Do you
I love taco salad.
do you leave the spinach raw? Is it 2 handfuls of raw spinach?
Yep.
Like fresh?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. This is an easy one to make. Yeah, because it's essentially, I'm just grabbing handfuls of each thing. And honestly, a third cup of chopped tomatoes, pretty much half of a regular sized tomato from the grocery. Like 1 onion gets me like the full week. Half a cup of sliced peppers is typically a half of a pepper. 1/4 cup of avocado is typically a half of a small avocado. This is a really easy go-to recipe. It's one of my favorites. It's tasty too. So, and it's incredibly filling, very nutrient dense. So, but yeah, this will be something, like I said, we'll make available later on in the season. But some of the examples are right here already in that sample nutrition plan. It's already right there. So it's already right here for you. That first day. So give it a shot. Let me know what you think, and the other ones are on the way. So those are the tools of athleting, introduction to all the things you need to get started. So get started, enjoy wherever you are in your season, whether you're in your off season, whether you're in your anatomical adaptation phase already, doesn't matter. If you're enjoying off season, keep off seasoning, enjoy the holidays, just eat the foods. If you're already starting to think about training for your first event, then go ahead and start testing out some of these foods and start slowly trying to incorporate it into your life. Don't go 0 to hero. Maybe not make 5 days worth of meals. Maybe just try 1 or 2, right? Like just pre-prep for yourself. And it's okay to be selfish sometimes. So say you were going to go do a big ocean crossing this year or something, for example, who knows? If you were going to do that, maybe your family, you get buy-in from them and they just eat something different than you you're like, okay, mommy's got her meal and you guys get good food and I'll just look at you angrily while I eat the same thing for dinner every single day. But they won't judge you. It's temporary. It's not forever. So we go through phases in our life. And sometimes we set a goal or identify a goal where we make sacrifices. So, and then the race is over and we get a break. Like, then we start over, or we don't, or we take a bigger off season. So it's all temporary and it's all fun. It's a game. How many days can I eat sweet potatoes before my stomach is like, nah? Before my taste buds say no more sweet potatoes. So, alrighty, guys. Any other questions? Yeah. All right. It's 11:30. I'm gonna go do stuff on this beautiful Sunday. Everybody, I hope everyone who is in the States had a happy Thanksgiving. Looking forward to holiday seasons, everyone. And yeah, what else is going on? That's it. So stay tuned. I'll be posting soon for the next nutrition talk, where we will be diving into the macronutrients of base training season, and nutrient timing and supplements that are going to help build those new neurological connections, build new capillaries, and build new body parts. Warning, it doesn't include any caloric deficits. Newsflash. All right, cool. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. See you.